Good afternoon and welcome back. Hey, we wanted to take a quick minute to do a video on the 2022 Allison XB-21. This boat we bought new in 2022, ordered October of 21, and I wanted to go over a few things about why we landed on the Allison. We're really excited about this. It's going to be a great year for us in 23. We had a couple things going on that we'll talk about, but overall, take a look. Yep, it's dirty. So this is the Bass Sport Pro Elite. It is their top of the line model. It basically has about anything you can get on it, minus multiple grafts up front, multiple grafts at the helm. I'm pretty much a shallow water guy, so everything on this boat is well beyond my capability when it comes to the deep water locating of fish. And that's kind of part of what we're going to do with as we move forward next year, is do a little bit of learning on how to fish, how to find fish in deeper water and things like that, and use all these new electronics that come on these boats. So let me give you the quick rundown of this boat, its features, and why we went with the Allison. Okay, starting at the front of the boat, and we're going to work from the bottom up. So we have surge brakes, swing away tongue, step ups, which I installed AquaTraction on, grab bar. The trailer has a turnbuckle style coupling. We have a Fulton winch, and my dealer, who is so awesome, got us the matching black Fulton jack. Now, something you might notice, we have a spare tire and cover. This boat's equipped with 18-inch wheels, the big wheel package. This is a Boatmate trailer, 7-pin plug. I can tell you right now, if you're looking at that trailer, something you may or may not notice, that is a 5-inch C-channel elite shield coated trailer. 5-inch. To my knowledge, on a bass boat, Allison's the only one doing a 5-inch C-channel trailer. We have our 18-inch wheels, full LED light package. And if you notice, brakes on one. That's why my back wheel's a little dirtier than the front, but we've been trying to have some fun in this thing for sure. Aluminum tread plates on the steps. Fenders are elite shield coated as well. Wider to accommodate for our tires. We're running a, I don't even know what size tire that is right now. I'm sure it'll show up on the video, I'll tell you later. A little bit wider tire. I gotta say, I've heard a lot of people talk about trailers. Custom plate, we got our tie downs from Boatmate on there, and you'll notice those are vertical. Allison believes that, number one, that supplies a lot of support, and number two, the bunks dry quicker to keep the water off of your boat, so you don't have to worry about delamination ever. There is no wood in an Allison boat. That's another unique feature, I should say. But LED all around, and I see a lot of boats, and I tell you what, Boatmate makes one heck of a trailer, and if you think that winch stand is ever going to go anywhere, you are mistaken. If you have one of those boats that has one little tiny vertical or kind of ankle piece holding your roller on, my guess is you're going to be re-welding that at some point. So Allison does not skimp on trailers. That is a very heavy duty trailer for what's basically a 1,450 pound boat. Now, next, moving on, let's move up to the front of the boat. Allison's, unless you order it without them that I've ever seen, come with headlights and or docking lights, which I can't get in the boat and run them right now. Pretty unique. So staying on the front of the boat, we went with the Lowrance Ghost, about 107 pound thrust trolling motor, and we do have active target. This motor is one of the most powerful trolling motors I've ever used. Magnetically linked arrow on it. The head doesn't turn, only the shaft on this motor turns. Heavy duty mount. It is unbelievable what this thing can do, and we're going to break this boat down and go into each one of these parts when we get time. But for now, yes, been using it, love it. Yes, we fish shallow water, props a little dinged up. Moving over to the back to the bow a little bit, built-in bow running lights, grab handle for helping pull the boat up on the trailer if you need to, horn, and then a unique Allison feature, our E-ped. And yes, I do have 8-foot power pole blades, and there are my buttons set up for that, and the trolling motor well with the Lowrance pedal. This has been one incredible setup. We have a 12-volt outlet. We do have lights, courtesy lights there, battery gauge, up and down trim, everything where it should be. And I've had no issues reaching any of that stuff. I know there's a lot of guys that don't care for their trim switches up here, but for me, I don't have any issue with it. Now, here's something unique to Allison. This is Lowrance XB-21, and it is built right into, get you guys adjusted here real quick. It is tucked in, nice and flush to the dash. I got my Lowrance GPS puck mounted under here. And second pull. There you have it. So now you have an elevated bracket, and I'm sure just because I'm standing beside that thing, it was a little tougher to get up, but when you're pulling straight up on it, it's no problem. So this is unique to Allison, that little E-ped, trolling motor hookups, wing nuts under there, locking everything in, so you can change that out real quick if you have to. You don't have to worry about having a special plug. As long as you got 2 wires, you can put it on there. Makes for a very clean setup. They even have everything to route your trolling motor cables. And then when you're done with your E-ped, and yes, it does turn and swivel. I'm not going to mess with all that exactly right now, but pretty self-explanatory. So when you're done with your E-ped, pull that. She drops down and she's ready to go. 2-position seat post. The Allison does come with 1 butt seat. If you want to sit down, you can order one, or you can order a second butt seat. These are hydraulic. We have our rod savers built in, retractable, and we do have a full AquaTraction install on this boat, courtesy of me. And there'll be another video out there that shows kind of how that works and why we did that. According to my Apple Watch, can't see that, 40 degrees. AquaTraction is still somewhat soft at 40 degrees, but it is notably more rigid than some of the other products out there, but super comfortable to stand on, ton of traction. All right, Allison also gives you very aerodynamic consoles. This is more of a sit down in kind of boat. We do have, in fact, we'll get in the boat here in a minute, a slam latch on everything. So nothing to get snagged on rods. Your cleats are all pointed in, so you're not getting your rods snagged up by anything right there. They're not right on top of the deck either. And I gotta tell you, probably some of the best glass work you will ever find on a bass boat. Allison uses a race inspired seat. We do have AquaTraction down around those seats as well. We have our trim and tilt, hydraulic plate, Lowrance XB-21 in the dash. Again, full AquaTraction install on the cockpit, fuel gauge, Merc monitor, headlight adjustment or angle, all your standard switches for your live wells, bilge pumps, things like that. We have the hot foot light switch for the lights down there. And the storage on this boat is just monstrous. Coming to the back here real quick, we went with the, get you out of the sun there, 8-foot power pole blades. We put those on a little bit later than when we got the boat. The boat went back for some service about a month later, and we did a full matching sticker kit and panel paint up to complement the black, white, and gray color scheme of the boat. We are running, I believe, a 28 pitch Bravo 1. We are running the Allison, hard to see in there, C-Star jack plate, I believe. I could be wrong. I know it's not an Atlas, but it's a custom Allison jack plate. Fuel fill, you have your dual tanks. It's like a saddle tank. So you run out of gas on one side, you flip it, you got like 3 gallons to go on the other. Yes, our Mercury motor is spotty. We are running what Allison recommends, which is a standard moto stop. These boats have one of the strongest transoms ever developed. They've never had a transom issue and typically have never had hull issues. Quite remarkable these days. All right. Okay, so all my stuff is still in here. And I'm not gonna lie, we've been fishing, so it's kind of a mess. Give you a view of the front deck here. So, walking up to this front deck, cooler, we'll go through that, step up, plenty of room. I fished 2 people up here without a problem. I'm 5'11", about 200 pounds. No issues whatsoever. And oh, by the way, this boat's got about 5 trips on it. I've not washed it. And that's what we got for AquaTraction. We got a little bit of dirt here and there. So right off the bat, we're going to go into the passenger side storage or the port side storage. So again, slam latches, pull those up. Allison gives you these slide out trays. You can see what I've been kind of doing. And I did notice that the trays squeak a little bit on the lids, so I did trim those. But you could put rods in here if you wanted to. It's got rod tubes, and then it goes way on up to the bow. We have carpet inside the rod lockers. They are lighted. These little things right here, privacy lights. Slide these back in. Take them out completely. I use that one as a day box. You can see that. So I went to doing a lot of this, worry about boat storage later, but for my soft plastics I went to some bigger boxes. I do have an organizer in here. So there's a couple rod butt holders back here. They do have a full rod organizer that you can put in here, but I don't have any dimensions at the moment. But you can tell these are very deep boxes. They hold a ton, so I just have to get a little bit more organized, and that's what we're going to be doing through the winter a little bit. Gas struts, aluminum lids, close nice and easy. Again, 40 degrees out. Center box is one of the most interesting. Secret baits, not going to show you all that. I actually put this in here from one of these boxes, and trying to climb in here again all the way to the front. There's the E-Ped. You have rod storage, and I don't know if that's my network, I can't remember, or my amp for my stereo. I did have a small stereo put in. Here's your running light storage for your anchor light. And I'm not going to show you these. Top secret. Allison mounts this little box right here. I don't know if I'm going to keep it there, but if you pull some of the terminal tackle stuff I have in here out of the way, and I do want to note that these storage boxes stay extremely dry. I'm going to try to show you what is under here. So you pull that little knob, you take that out, unscrew this, Try to keep you guys in frame. I'll set that aside. And we have our 3 ionic deep cycle lithium batteries that are running our Lowrance Ghost. Pretty neat. Allison does a really good job of figuring out where to put weight in the boat. That is extremely awesome. That is a great battery hold down setup, and I challenge anybody to argue otherwise on that. Again, put our box there, grab our knob, easy enough to get to. Screw that back down, move my stuff, and yep, if you saw that, you know there's lead weight. Why do I have weights in the boat? Well, to keep it balanced. What I found when I got the boat is Allison doesn't like to be loaded real heavy in the back. So we're tinkering with our balance to help our running. Oh, yeah, roller. Easily accessible. All right, now, don't laugh, rod box. So here's my rods. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, about 10 rods in here right now. There's the rod organizer for the driver side. That puts the driver here, who I weigh 200 pounds, and then all your light stuff kind of on this side and all your heavy stuff on the other to kind of balance out that whole driver thing. Again, we have a bunch of rod tubes up there, and everybody has kind of mixed emotions on rod tubes. I'm running the Live to Fish, the neoprene rod sleeves, and again, that box goes all the way up to the front, right up to that graph. Struts, lights, nice latches. Well, what's the cooler look like? Well, you asked for it. This baby's deep. I don't know how many quarts that thing is. I have to look at the specs again, but again, on a slam type latch, lockable, 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 everything's lockable. As much as you can secure a bass boat anyway, it's lockable. Let's spin around. Got our floor, we had our logo routed in, and again, if you look at the floor, yes, I don't fish barefoot, I fish in gym shoes. Yes, this color does show a little bit of dirt, and no, I have not scrubbed it since I got it. Color match seats, of course. Again, tack, trim, 12-inch tilt wheel, and one thing that Allison does is it puts your seats on slides. So these actually slide up and back. I don't have to worry about where my foot pedal is because my seats are on slides. Allison race car style shifter, which is super cool. Can't beat that. And my stereo controls up underneath there. Cup holder, speakers for my stereo. Mounted behind our seats. That one's actually really hard to see. There he is. Passenger rod shelf with cup holder. A couple of rod tubes in there. And yes, you can put a rod tie down in there. I just haven't done it. Another cup holder. Front of the consoles real quick, cup and tool holders. Come in really handy, haven't had anything fly out. Everything's been extremely solid on the boat. Passenger grab handle. And we'll move to the passenger seat. The seats do not fold up. Passenger seat is on a slide. Nice aluminum tracks in there. Fire extinguisher. And then you get these cubbies in the Allison that run up underneath and go all the way back in there, and I got to see what that is back there now because I just noticed it on the camera. A little bit of wires or something. Maybe something. Oh, that's my speaker. Duh. Allison does these little cubbies. Throw your jackets and some things in there. Tackle boxes, stuff like that. And then here's our kind of our view for your passenger. Nice glove box. Allison uses this textured inside of their boats, this textured finish. And this glove box is huge. I've got junk, but I am elbow deep in that glove box. And I got room for more junk. Unbelievable how deep that is. Once again, lockable. Your driver's view is, surprisingly enough for me, I hate windshields on every boat I've ever had. And this one, I wouldn't live without them. I can run down the lake as fast as it'll go, and don't have to worry about the my hat blowing off. Okay, so we've covered everything to the passenger seat. Now the moment you all been waiting for, if you ever heard about it. Yes, the boat has a toilet in it. Not how to use it, but I do have a wife and a little boy and a stepdaughter, so you know what? Who knows when it may come in handy. But here we go. Again, lockable. There it is. Pull this off. It's essentially a 5-gallon bucket. I keep some ropes in there, and I got some trash I got to clean up. Depth finder sending unit. And it looks like we have a aerator or bilge pump in there. Looks like a live well aerator. So if you need to get to that, that's not a problem. Easily changed. So that's something they make for you to where it's going to be easy to work on the boat. And that is something we're going to cover here in a minute. Also, bucket back in the right way. That's sure done. What about live wells? Well, yes, live wells and gas struts, and they are a little sticky because it is cold, and honestly I haven't really used them yet. Here's your recirculation, pump in, pump out. I do have a little bit of water in there I need to get out of there before it gets real cold. Divided, super duper deep. Rounded edges. Divider can be removed. Rear seat post receptacle. Again, another slam latch. I keep my dry bag back here, toolkit, stuff like that. But I will pull some of this out of here. This is a ginormous box. I've got 3 life jackets. So we got 3 life jackets, dry bag, my throwable cushions, which I double up for if I got 3 people in here. I can actually sit somebody on that. That goes all the way back underneath that panel. So again, things were kind of thrown in here from my last trip. I had Luke with me because that's definitely not my life jacket. Super deep ridges around all the storage boxes. Latches here, water drainage here, no water getting in your boxes, no unnecessary foam under your lids. They do have a little rubber boot, which is probably hard to see with the sun, that runs around that. So same type of storage on this side. Again, the rubber lip on everything. You have lights that are mounted on your lids, gas struts. Your live will have the lights on them too. The deep ledge running around here. And then back here we have our stealth charging system. And then behind this panel is our cranking battery. Once again, kind of peek in there and see that. So once again, you have 2 little knobs, undo those. I keep my rain suit, and everybody complains about the Allison seats, that maybe they don't drain very well. So for about 10 bucks a piece, I bought some covers to go over them. So when I'm fishing, keeps water off of them. And then that box goes way back in there. Let's see if I can loosen this up. There we go. Way back in there. I mean, that's like, it's about 1.5 feet back there. Massive amount of storage in this boat. Drain holes put in the right spots. That's a huge storage box. I mean, there's no little tiny boxes, and that's something that I noticed about some other boat brands I wasn't a fan of. Moving back to the business end of the boat, we're on the 250 Pro XS 4-stroke. Allison does make their own brackets for your power poles, and they make a very neat, and it doesn't look really neat, but with power pole cables and stuff running through there and all the hydraulics, but they do give you this big access hole to run all your stuff through, all your rigging, so nothing's tight there. And then people would think that that actually cuts in, that cowling there cuts in your co-angler fishing space, and I don't see it. I mean, I wear size 9.5s, and there's really room for days back here. All right, so under the rear cowl, we have your gas tank. Like I said, it's a saddle tank design with all your fuel filters and whatnot and sending units. We have a power pole blade pump there and there. Reservoirs you can get to. It's not extremely tight. And underneath that, if we need to get to it, I'll try to get down in there as much as I can with the camera without tearing anything up. You can actually get to your plumbing, pumps, things like that. So that's not a real big deal there. If you have hoses or something you got to do maintenance on. Yeah, if you look down underneath, just down underneath here, you can see some of your bilge pumps and things you need to get to. Wiring all neat, tucked away. Hoses neat and tucked away. Again, I have seen boats where you can access things a little better, and I've seen boats where you can't hardly access anything at all without pulling out the gas tank. You have dual anchor light positions, so there's that. Overall, so in the end, the Allison just came down to be a very well thought out boat. We ordered the boat in October of 21. We spec'd out all the colors. We finally got the colors nailed down in December. And what we came up with, Tim over at Fastbass Marine, he's one of the only dealer at the time doing this lower color stripe. I couldn't find it on their catalog. These boats are extremely rigid. It's extremely light. It is not maybe a beginner's boat to drive, but it's not that difficult either. I know that I could put anybody in it and you can drive it up to 60 mile an hour pretty easy, and beyond that probably. I've topped the boat out at about 81. I'm still learning the boat, and I'm being very cautious and very methodical about what I'm doing. But what I can say is the boat drives easy. It handles rough water extremely well. A lot better than what you'd think. One guy I fish with, he was telling me it's like a 1,400 pound jet ski, and I tend to believe that. It's a little bit lighter boat, and it likes to get on top of the chop and ride. It does not like to sit and plow through the waves. So it can be a little bit bouncier, but everything is just a nice as you're going down the lake, and it'll surprise you how much speed you got underneath you as you're doing that. So what don't we like about the boat? Well, I know a lot of people don't like the textured inside. I know Ken Smith Fishing, he did a review on one of these, and he noted that this felt like some kind of a bed liner. That's absolutely not true. It's just where they have basically in the mold, they texture that fiberglass, and it provides more of a non-skid surface. I mean, that's all there is to it. So I do know, guys, if you get one in white, people have said it might be a little harder to keep clean, but I have not seen that. I've got gray. Gray is awesome. The lines on the boat, super sharp gel lines. The sponsons on the boat are a big thing that help the boat as far as running, keep you dry when you're in rough water. Allison does not offer metal flake colors. They are all about the gel, and for good reason. One thing is they claim that metal flake can hide defects, but it's a very, very advanced hull. They've been around a long time. No wood in the boat. It looks like a frickin' airplane, and I couldn't be happier. I think with any boat, I've always had complaints about latches. They're mostly, almost always plastic of some kind. I mean, there's no real security to them. I'm not a big fan of any boat's latches. But if you go getting too heavy duty on the latches, they don't want to work right, and then some of them get extremely hot. So I'm okay with the Allison latches. They work well. You can find new ones. Not a problem there. The boat is a narrower boat. I think it's something like 50 something inches across, you know, about where the pedestal is or whatever for the seat. I don't have a problem with that. I don't like a big wide boat. That's just my nature. I grew up fishing Champions. I got buddies that have bullets, and that's something that I don't care for a big wide boat right now in my life. I'm not into that. I want to go a little bit faster, and I want something that's easier to get in and out of tight spaces. I can't find a whole lot I don't like about the boat. The boat is phenomenal. The trailer is unbelievable. Tow's great, and it's everything I've ever wanted. And it's a matter of, you know, I think it's something where it's not the boat for everybody. It's not a traditional bass boat. So we looked at probably a couple different boats, and I think we looked at the Bass Cat, and the Era was my #1 targeted boat for that. And beautiful boat, just not my style of boat. Not a big fan of kind of their storage boxes and things, how they're kind of smaller. They're really configured and really specific. I'm more of a traditional box layout kind of guy, so that's why the Bullet was a big one for me. The Bass Cat ran great, rides great. I couldn't fault it for its performance at all. I'm just not a fan of the interior. Seems really busy to me. The design, just some of the aesthetics of the boat, although I think it's pretty, it's just not my style. It's a little busy. I like the boats, kind of like the Bullets with the clean belt line, or the older Champions and Chargers. Charger was also one of the ones we kind of looked at. I just don't have any dealers in my area. But yeah, like I said, we did look really hard at Blazer, and I think if I had taken a little more time to look at one of those were very much a top contender. And what we were looking for, the 625 Pro Elite, looks like an amazing boat. I did not get to ride in one just because of the time of year it was, but I think the quality is very good, especially compared to years past. But we did go ride in an Allison. We rode in the Era. I've been in numerous Bullets, and those were on my short list, and I kind of knew what I was looking for, but the Allison really surprised me. It was not the boat I went out to go get. If I didn't get a 21-foot Bullet, I was honestly probably going to go with the 20-footer just because it fit in my garage. And then after I looked at the Blazer, I kind of started thinking the 625 Pro Elite was going to be the way I wanted to go. It really met in the middle of the Bass Cat, the Bullet, and stuff like that as far as being sized right, speed. I think the quality's there, local dealer, this and that. So we ended up, after I looked at a few Allisons and learned a little more about them, again, my perception was this thing is basically a race boat with a fishing deck on it. And I went and I got in one, I rode in it, I fished out of it, and I was blown away. The boat's narrow, but the hull design keeps it sucked down to the water when you're fishing. It doesn't have a lot of roll. It floats really level. I maybe have a picture so I can roll in with that, even empty, because again, this is not a boat that you load in the rear a bunch. You really want to load it kind of even, and the XB21 does like a little more positive trim than some of them, depending on the setup you're running. And again, I got to figure out what prop I got on this thing. I'm pretty sure it was a 28 pitch probably one. But the boat planes quick. I'll get some footage of that here soon. It rides good. Rough water performance is there. The quality's there. I mean, it's solid. It's light. It doesn't get blown around on the lake, I've found, because it floats very flat. I've noticed with a few boats that tend to float a little nose high, the wind wants to sweep that nose. That Lowrance Ghost on this boat will absolutely pull this boat at 6 miles an hour. It is ridiculous. So areas I used to, fire up my big motor and idle over there real quick, I don't do that anymore. I just crank that trolling motor on high. Here we go. It's got the spot lock. The power pole blades is the first boat I've had power poles on, or any kind of shallow water anchor, and it was like the first weekend I had them. I went out and I caught 3 fish out of the same brush pile just by not spooking them, running the trolling motor, and I was in 8 inches of water. It was awesome. Launching a boat, loading a boat by yourself, the power poles are a great ticket to have. The only issue is, like in my situation, you got to watch getting those things in and out of that garage. I honestly, looking at things, I can't say enough about the boat. I'm elated. I feel very fortunate. And my dealer, Fastbass Marine, down in Grand Rivers, Kentucky, Tim Powell, give that guy a call. He aims to please. I had a bunch of requests, bunch of questions, bunch of stuff I didn't know, and I'm sure I wore him out over the phone over about 2 months. But he worked with me. He made this thing happen, all the way down to getting the boat ordered with no flooring in it so we could do our AquaTraction install. Tim is a great guy, and he knows how to get the speed out of a boat. He's running one that's got a 450R on it. That's a lot more guts than I ever have, trust me. I think the 250 does perfect on this. The 250R does great. I mean, anytime you're pushing a bass boat over 75 mile an hour and it's pretty well loaded, you're doing pretty good. But I will say this. We picked the boat up on June 3rd. I scanned the boat for AquaTraction. Finally got on the water on, I think it was July 11th. And right off the bat, we had a problem. And turns out, my dealer is 5.5 hours away from where I live. I live just south of Dayton, Ohio area. And it turns out that we had a problem, and the boat left us stranded on the first trip. So I didn't get any footage of that, but it was my wife, myself, and my 7-year-old, and it was 90 degrees out. And of course, brand new boat, you got new boat woes. And it was a trying day, but memorable in more ways than one. But we did get her. The motor stopped. We got it started. We got everything back on the trailer. Got home, and unfortunately, I had to haul the boat back down to Fastbass, and we had no idea what was going on with it. See, can't get out. We had no idea what was going on with the boat, and I'm telling you, when you spend that kind of money on something, I was a little bit frustrated. So I drive the boat back down to Tim, and I drive the boat back down to Tim. Just hold you guys for a minute so I'm getting some light in here. And he had it. I said, hey, while you got it, go ahead and put a stereo in it. So he did. And went through everything, get the boat back, and I'm like, hey, we're sure, right? Like, we're good, right? Oh, I'm gonna drop you. Like, we're good, right? Yep, everything's good. We ran it. Life is great. I'm like, okay. So I get the boat, and I take Luke out in it. Well, I take it out by myself. Funny story here. I hope it's funny. Fix my camera. All right. So I get the boat back from Tim. I'm like, hey, man, everything running good? Yep, running great. Run 86 mile an hour. This is before it had power poles. It ran 86. Yeah, it runs great. I was like, okay, get the boat. I take it out for the day, and it ran good. Fished out of it. Everything seemed okay, but right at the end of the day, it sputtered a little bit going on the trailer and died. So I called him, told him. He said, well, get it out again, keep an eye on it. So I took it out 4 days later, had Luke with me, and we were just going to go pile around, go bluegill fishing, run the boat. And we got the boat off the trailer. It's idling, and it died. And I'm like, no. So we fished for a little bit, put the boat back on the trailer. It started up right enough to put it on the trailer. And we took it. I called Tim. He said, "Can you get it down here to me?" I'm like, man, this is 5 hours each way, you know. And you know, he apologized profusely. He's like, "I don't know what's going on with it." He goes, "But we're going to have to go through everything on it." So I get up in the morning. I drive it down there early, and get there, and we dump it in a tank, and it's not squirting any water out of the water pump spigot there, and the telltale. And we pull the boat out and out of the tank and this and that, and look, and here the impeller had been chewed up, and we found that there was a little bit of an issue in there where there may have been a spare impeller key left in there that chewed that up from the manufacturer. They also found a cut fuel hose inside the motor from the manufacturer that had right on the crimp, really hard to find. So they did find that. We did the impeller key thing, and then that same hose apparently had a little bit of a weak spot in it. We found later that was actually kind of crushing down in there. And Mercury, they took care of everything. They've been very supportive. Their field rep came out, looked at everything, you know, made sure it was right. And they spent a lot of time with it, so that was good too. And I know Tim, he spent a lot of time on this thing. Tim Powell did down there, and he got the boat right. And what we ended up finding out was ended up being a gas tank problem, and it was a supplier issue with a pickup tube, where the pickup tubes were the wrong size, and it was sucking air. So we talked to them, got tubes for it, and kind of expressed our displeasure about the quality issue with that. Spoke to Nancy Allison directly, and she was very good to work with on everything, and basically assured me that, you know, the boat never going to have any problems out of it, this and that. Obviously they can't control some of the supplier parts, and that's kind of one of the things where quality is important. So they go through the whole thing. The Mercury service rep comes out, go through the whole motor, take all the diagnostic stuff on it, make sure everything's right. They run the boat, they tune the boat, and that's when we had the power poles put on. And we went from about an 86 something, 87 mile an hour top end down to about 83, 84. We're still doing some tweaking, but yeah, they do catch some wind. They do add a little weight, but we're going to work through some of that and see if we can't get her to where we're back to running about 83-ish, 84 with poles type thing on it. But your dealer matters, how they handle things, especially on, you know, a new boat, this and that. The guys at Fastbass are experts. The overall customer service is great. It's a smaller shop. If you're in the market for an Allison or some kind of Mercury repower or whatever it might be, give Tim and the guys a call at Fastbass Marine, and down in Grand Rivers, Kentucky. And they do used Allisons. He gets a lot of boats in that guys are like team boats and stuff like that they get in, they want a new boat, whatever. They do a ton of repowers, and they're very knowledgeable. So I highly recommend them down there. But that is a general overview of the 2022 Allison XB-21. Over the next year, we're going to take this and we're going to break things down into smaller pieces, look at things a little more individually as far as how the boat performs, where we're at with, you know, what kind of water we can fish with it. So far I've had it in super shallow water on the Ohio River, and that pays big dividends, you know. But we'll look at performance aspects of the boat, and speed, and how it turns, and how it drives, and fishability, and how much roll, and all these things, and we'll really dissect this thing, because I think that's something that, you know, on this kind of boat, they're a little on the rare side. They only build a few boats a year, 20 something maybe, and it's honestly a pretty unique animal. So stick around with us, and as we venture into this new arena on the channel. And thanks for watching. Y'all come back and see us. Thank you.